So, morning chaps, bright and breezy, early one this morning. I said I'd just shoot a quick video while I had the chance, for the house is nice and quiet. Just let me grab my morning coffee. Cheers. Uh, what I want to talk a bit about today is guided fishing, right? And like, my health is improving all the time, so it looks like I will be able to do a good bit of guiding this year. And like, guided fishing is in itself like a discipline, right? So the things you won't find me doing when I'm guiding: one, fishing, right? Because, like, you take two lads out guiding, right, and all three of you fishing. I hit into a fish. How are my two clients going to feel? They're not going to feel too good. Like, so I just don't fish, right? As a rule. Now, if we get stuck into a bunch of fish and the client says, go ahead and have a few casts, that's a different scenario, right? Like, for example, last summer, and I'm sure Gav won't mind me saying, that chap asked me to take him out and show him how to surface lure fish. He was lacking confidence in using surface lures, and so we were fishing South Wexford. We drove around, we fished a few marks, we were looking for the fish, and eventually we got to a spot where I could see there was a lovely rip, there was birds working it, there was cormorants and shags working in and around the rip and that, and I said, there's definitely got to be a few fish out there. And so it was a bit of a climb out there. Now, it was a fair old trek, but we got out there anyway, and Gav got his lures out into it and started banging fish off the surface, and great excitement, right? And then turned to me and he said, Jesus man, get yourself a fish or two, like. So I started making a few casts, and I hit a few fish as well. We just a really fun day, right? But most importantly was, I was able to give that man one-on-one attention and tell him what I know about surface lure fishing. Now, not that I am some expert at surface lure fishing, like, you know what I mean, I'm doing it a long time, I've caught a lot of fish using that method, but it was the attention I was able to give to the person, right? So, like, guided fishing, I'll never take, really, usually never more than 3. Now, if a group comes to me and I have 1 or 2 groups who especially request a slightly bigger number and they don't mind, then I'll take it. But generally speaking, it's 2 or 3 people, because other than that, I can't actually give each person enough attention. Now, if they're experienced anglers, right, fine, like 3 fellas, fine, because it's really about just bringing them to the spots at the right stage of tide and in the right conditions, and they'll know what to do. If they're lads who are only getting started, I'm much better off in a one-to-one scenario, because then you can spend all your time with that one person and, you know, talk them through everything from lures, rods, you know, watercraft, you know, air pressure, wind direction, location, you know, bass behavior, how they like to lie, their habitual, etc, 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 right? So so yeah, like, I mean, it's something I love doing it, right? Like, I get a kick out of seeing people catch fish. I had a group last year from the north, Derek and the lads. Now, a nicer bunch of fellas you would not meet, but there were 2 young lads, and they were fantastic young anglers, and one of them had a personal best bass, right? I mean, literally, we were on a coastal mark, crossing the rocks. I said to the young fella, I said, put it in there behind that rock. And of course I kept going to get to the other 2 lads, and I didn't hear them hollering at me, but he had thrown in the stick bait, banged a fish. Josh is the young lad's name. Banged a fish and apparently got stuck into it anyway, and pulled it home, and it was his personal best. And I mean, I saw the photo of him. The smile said it all, right? And fish was released, not a bother on it, right? But it's that kind of personal attention to detail, that makes the difference between a good day and a bad day's guided fishing. Like, the other thing I won't do is I'll never tell fellas what to do. Like if we're fishing, a spot that I think, or maybe try top water, and the chap says, well, I'd rather try a hard lure, I'm not gonna say don't do that. Like, it's not my business, like, to be telling people, how they should or shouldn't fish. Like my approach to fishing is try everything, like, because you never know, right? Like, every day is different. Some days they want it on top, right? Some days they'll only hit a hard lure. Some days they'll only take the softs, right? Like the needle fishing that I just adore, right? Especially in the nighttime. I mean, it has totally upped my catch rate just phenomenally. Fishing Charles, the Seawolf lures. I mean, they're so well made, but not just that they're well made. I mean, they just catch fish, like, right? But sometimes, like, fish want that lure up top, right? But there's been other nights we've been on the exact same beach at the exact same time with the exact same lures, and we didn't get a take until the lure had hit the bottom, and we were almost, like, we had our rods down, almost scraping the needles along the bottom, and then bang, you get a slap, you get a take, and boom. And hang on, have we got one to hand? Ah, yeah, here we go. Oh Jesus, there goes the rest of them. I'm not the most organised angler in the world, but there's one, like, rigged with the assist, right? And it's usually actually this hook here that I catch them on, by the way. So, the bass are slamming that part of the body, and it does some very, very little damage. You just slip out the single hook, and away they go. But if you have fellas out guiding and you're trying to teach them about needle fishing, especially in the dark, like, there's no way you can handle a large number of people. It's just not possible. And if you'd just be taking money off people for nothing, because you're not able to give them the attention that they actually deserve, that they're actually paying for. Like my notion of guided fishing is, if you're paying a guide because you want to be guaranteed to catch fish, I think you're kind of making a mistake. Like anybody can blank, right? And everybody blanks, and there will be days, that people blank. I mean, John Quinlan will testify to that down in Kerry. Dave Norman will testify to it in West Cork. I can testify to it here. I'm sure Jim Hendrick can tell you the same thing when he was guiding. I'm not sure if Jim is still guiding. There are days that the fish are just not on. They just won't, no matter what you do, right? I won't mention his name, but a very renowned fly tyer. I was talking to him, I think it was last year, and he was fishing West Waterford. I mean, this guy ties just beautiful flies, by the way. He's a great fly fisherman. And he just had a day of just follows after follow after follow after follow. Not a single take. Loads and loads and loads of fish there, but they just follow up and turn around. Follow up, turn around. Right? So, my idea, like, if you're Irish, right, if you're living here and you're looking for guided fishing, then really what you're looking for is to tap the brains of the person who's guiding you, right? Pick a guide that you think knows a bit about bass fishing or whatever, or has some experience that you want to gain, and be clear about that and ask the questions, and you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like, that's what guiding is about. Now, no doubt, like, I mean, I'm going to be guiding. I have a good track record for catching fish, right? So chances are we're going to do okay. Uh, and we've got a hell of a lot of coastline. Like, my guiding is from, I would say, from Collinstown to Youghal, right? That's the stretch of ground that I fish, which is an hour either side of Waterford, kind of thing, or an hour and 20 maybe to Youghal. Like, that's the stretch of ground I fish. So no matter which way the wind blows, I have somewhere that will find clear water or whatever, unless it's like it is now and you're in the middle of a storm or whatever. But I just wanted to put that up there, like that, like, it's important that fellas get value for money, and that guides behave themselves, and are kind of um, they're I can't think of the word. Sorry, long COVID really messed with my brain, but they're ambassadors for the sport. Like, do you know what I mean? For bass fishing, like that they're respectful to clients, that they understand that this is a service, that money is changing hands, etc., etc. And that you look after your clients, and not, it's not an opportunity to put Lord Almighty and kind of play the expert or whatever. Um, so after that, I just want to talk a small little bit about favourite bait of mine, right? I mean, at the minute it's all going to be tackled and talk or whatever. But I got these in, and I haven't been able to get them in a long time, right? In IU, right? I am in love with that colour. Why? Because it's the first soft plastic I caught a bass on. Geez, it must be 20 years ago now. I walked into John O'Brien's in Waterford Angling Centre there. A great shop. John's a lovely fella. Look after you for if you need anything. Really nice guy. But he had packets of these on the wall. He had these, he had IU, and he had a kind of it wasn't Wakasaji, but it was like a darker with a bit of purple and whatever, what have you. And I looked at them and I thought, Jesus, they're unusual. What are they like? And I stuck them on a 20-gram jig head, and I brought them to Banner with me one morning, and there was a good few lads fishing down there that I was meeting up with or whatever, and the feed shallow had just come out as well, so everybody was hammering that. But I cast this thing out, and I just took one fish after the next out of a hole. Like, I had 3 fish and 3 casts, just boom, 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 and I was hooked straight away. I was like, hey, I tell you what, there's something special about these lures, and it was right. Like, they turned out to be, they're an iconic bass lure. Like, I mean, there's no arguing with it, right? Although I'm sure you could probably find someone who would. But yeah. Now, people are always asking me, which way do you rig them and why, right? The truth is, I rig them both ways, and the answer to your question is, I don't really know why. Like they fall differently if you hook them through that side, right? If you hook them through the flat side, than they do if you hook them through the ribs or whatever. But either way, they catch fish. Like, hooked, rigged either way, they catch fish. You can also rig them offset. The small ones, you'd want to be fishing a very specific type of rod. Like, you'd want to be fishing something like the Favourite 4 to 24, or a Dialuna or something, light rated rod, like something that was rated to 22, 24 grams, because they're very, very light. I mean, and they don't cast particularly well. That is the one downside to them, is they tend to kind of spin out in the air, if you know what I mean. But in truth, in a lot of the spots where I'm fishing them, you don't need to cast, because the fish are at your feet, right? I'm usually fishing these in estuary channels or on the open beach in front of estuary channels or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I fish them as well with great success on the open beach at night. Just cast out, let it sit on the bottom and pop it along so it just puffs up sand like a sand eel would, and the batchy head, right? Because batchy heads basically work like a Ned head. They get the lure to sit up, right? You can also, I mean, and I have many times, you can also fish them like, you know, sink and draw, right? So cast them into a little rocky bay or something and just sink and draw them back to you. And if there's a bass there, or like when you get to know your marks, like there's a mark I have across the way there, a huge big rock platform, and I know when the bass are about, there's usually a fish or two sat right in tight in this gutter at the back of the rock, so I just flick an X in there and tick it through, and if he's there he'll have it. So I have it in both sizes. I like to have it in a range of colours, right, just so that I have the ability to change things up a little bit. Really importantly, I have a range of weights in my Neds. I have 5, 7s and 10 grams, right? Because I want the bait to move as naturally as possible, right? So when I'm fishing them in say if I'm fishing an estuary, I'm throwing them back up the current, right? And then just sort of leaving a U in the line, tightening into them, keeping the rod up, and just letting them trot, and then you'll feel the dig, and boom, right? Hit it straight away. It's usually like 2-3 taps. Hit it, and you're into a fish, right? But just an iconic lure, and IU hasn't been available to buy for such a long time. I have them there in both sizes if anyone needs them. So that's it, lads. I just said, well, I had the energy, my energy levels are going up all the time. It's such a good feeling. I was so sick for so long, like, to be finally on the mend. I'm like, thank fuck, you know what I mean? Like, I can't describe to you how happy I am about it. Like, I'm excited about the season ahead. I'm excited about some of the new tackle. Like I was on last night and I ordered Tarifas. I haven't been able to get my hands on Tarifas in years. DC12, serious lure, man. Like, now, look, they're expensive and there's nothing I can do about that. The companies have put the price up. Personally, I don't understand it, right? I look at Japanese websites and I look at what the Japanese are paying for lures, and then I look at what we're paying for lures, and I go, it blows my mind. But like, that's capitalism. There's nothing we can do about it, right? And you know, like, take it from me, like, I know I sell lures, right, and I'm opening a website and that, but not a huge margin in them. Like, it's not like you're making a fortune. You're not, like, so they are expensive. They are expensive. The DC12s are expensive, but on the bright side, right, they are one of the best hard lures I've ever used. Like, I just love them. They're awesome. So really look forward to getting my hands on those. Yeah, so everything is good. I hope everybody is well. I know it's horrible at the minute and the weather is shit and loads of people are without power and all the rest, so stay warm, stay safe, let this storm pass through, and hopefully we'll get back out there fishing, because there are definitely some bass on the coast. I know for a fact that they're there. So as soon as it comes right, I'm on with the waders and out the door. So tight lines, everybody, and keep her lit.